quick show of hands if you grew up singing along to Under the Sea. Pretty much like a lot of other people. And we all picture the Little Mermaid as this sweet, slightly rebellious tale of a girl chasing her dreams, right? It's a classic love story, maybe a little dramatic, but ultimately heartwarming. We remember Ariel with her fiery red hair and sparkling tail, longing for a world beyond her ocean home, willing to do anything for love. It's a story that's etched into her memory as a symbol of youthful yearning and romantic pursuit. What if I told you that the picture-perfect narrative is actually a brilliant disguise? What if The Little Mermaid isn't a whimsical romance at all, but a chilling, brutal warning? A cautionary tale is woven into the fabric of our childhoods, speaking directly to the 7 insidious ways you might be betraying your true self right now, all in a desperate bid to win someone else's approval. And in doing so, you're unwittingly building a life that was never ever meant to be yours. It's not just a fairy tale, it's a mirror, and what it reflects might just make you gasp. Prepare to look at Ariel's journey, and perhaps your own, in a completely new, and frankly, much more uncomfortable light. Ariel hands her voice to a sea witch, for legs and a shot at a prince. Cute, right? Wrong. That wasn't cute, that was a foundational error. The moment you swap your authentic voice, your core truth for acceptance, you build the rest of your life on quicksand. Every promotion, every relationship, every compliment you chase after that is already poisoned because the very foundation's a lie. Let's really dig into this first betrayal because it underpins everything else. Think about the last time you nodded along when every fibre of your being wanted to scream no. Maybe it was a colleague's bad idea, a friend's questionable plan, or a partner's request that just didn't sit right. That tiny nod, that barely perceptible agreement is your underwater contract. It's your own personal deal with a sea witch, Ursula. You just gave away the one thing that lets people truly feel you, truly hear you, truly hire you, truly love you, your voice. Ariel's tongue literally leaves her body, a glowing pulse and sacrifice. Your tongue stays right where it is, but you silence it just the same. You edit your opinions, you swallow your objections, you pretend to be okay when you're definitely not. And the cost? You wake up inside a life that fits like borrowed shoes. They might look fine from the outside, even stylish, but they blister your feet with every step. They pinch, they rub, they cause constant low-grade pain. Because it's not your size, it's not your style, and it's not your walk. And ask yourself right now, honestly, where did I last agree to something that was my body, my gut, my deepest intuition, and still resents? Was it a commitment you made out of obligation, a social event you dreaded but said yes to? A project you took on even though it drained you? That's the crack in your personal ocean floor. That's where the quicksand starts. Everything else you try to build on top of it, every new aspiration, relationship, achievement, it all tilts. It feels unstable, precarious, because the very ground beneath you is shifting. You can't build a truly fulfilling life on a foundation of self-betrayal. It just doesn't work. Ariel wants to be part of the world, so she literally changes species. We do the same, don't we? We swap hobbies, accents, political opinions, even clothing sizes just to be chosen. When you live someone else's story, trying to fit into a mould that isn't yours, your own authentic plot forgets you even exist. You become a supporting character in a life where you should be the blockbuster. And identity betrayal feels like trying on 1,000 outfits and none of them quite fitting. Because the size you're squeezing into isn't actually yours. It's a constant performance, the exhausting effort to present a version of yourself that you think others want to see. Maybe you're the chill one when you're actually bursting with passionate opinions. Or the always busy one when you secretly crave quiet solitude. You might adopt a new taste in music, different set of values, even a whole new personality to gain entry into a certain social circle or impress a particular person. Every time you shrink your personality to keep the peace, every time you sand down your sharp edges to avoid conflict, you're scraping off scales so you can walk on land that was never meant for your fins. You're denying your true nature, your unique sparkle. Real tragedy here isn't rejection, it's acceptance for a self you never truly respected in the first place. Think about it for a second. You get what you thought you wanted, but it feels hollow because it wasn't you that was accepted, but the carefully constructed facade. Name the last group chat where you waited to state your real opinion until you saw which way the current was flowing. That hesitation, that strategic silence, that's your tail splitting. That's the moment you choose fitting in over standing out as your authentic self. It's painful, slow, severing you from who you truly are. And who would you be if you had no one else like you? If there was Absolutely no special consequences, no need for approval, no fear of judgment. That's the real mermaid, your true untamed self waiting patiently under the wreckage of all those discarded identities. She's probably got some wild stories and a voice that demands to be heard. Ariel hides her true name from Eric. Scared, he'll swim away if you know. We stash our weirdness, our diagnoses, our debt, our complicated families, our secret dreams, our past mistakes, and we call it protection. But shame isn't a shield, it's a locked chest, keeping you from breathing freely and genuinely connecting with others. Shame, that insidious little monster, needs secrecy to survive. It thrives in the darkness, whispered corners of your mind. The minute you speak the thing, the moment you drag it into the light, it loses oxygen, it shrivels. But we treat shame like a priceless relic, don't we? We bubble wrap the very parts of ourselves that could set us free, believing that if everyone saw, we'd be utterly unlovable and unforgivable. We build elaborate mental fortresses around our perceived flaws, our vulnerabilities, and our past missteps. The result? You perform a sanitized, carefully curated version of yourself. You become an avatar of who you think you should be, rather than the messy, beautiful, perfectly imperfect human you actually are. And then you wonder why no one feels real around you, why your connections feel superficial, why you still feel so profoundly alone even when you're surrounded by people. It's because you're not letting them connect with you. You're letting them connect with your PR team. Try this. Write down one sentence you pray nobody ever Googles about you. The deepest, darkest, most embarrassing thing you believe about yourself or your past. Now, read it aloud to one safe person. Just one. Someone you trust implicitly. Notice how the sea witch voice that screamed keep it hidden at all costs suddenly sounds ridiculous. A mere whisper in the face of shared humanity. The chest opens, your lungs refill, and for the first time you can actually swim toward daylight instead of faking it on dry, polite sand. That act of courage, that moment of vulnerability, isn't just about being seen, it's about finally allowing yourself to breathe. Fear promises safety if you just stay small. Ariel fears missing her father, her kingdom, her whole identity, so she makes a desperate, ill-conceived bargain. We fear being broke, alone, cancelled, unloved. So we sign a contract with the devil we know, mediocrity. We choose the predictable, the safe, the small, even if it slowly suffocates us. Fear betrayal is a master of disguise. It doesn't always show up as a screaming monster. Often it dresses up as wisdom, as prudence, as common sense. Don't post that opinion, employees will see. Don't leave the secure job, the market is rough, you might regret it. Don't speak up, you'll make waves, it's easier to just go with the flow. These aren't necessarily bad ideas on their own, but when they're driven purely by fear, they become shackles, keeping you from your potential. Meanwhile, your body keeps a score. A tight jaw, a clenched stomach, 2 a.m. panic sessions scrolling through worst case scenarios. Fear locks you in a constant state of low grade anxiety and a constant fight or flight mode that drains your energy and dulls your spirit. And the horrible joke is most of the scary sea monsters, the ones that loom so large in our minds, are actually just inflatable balloons. Poke them once, take a tiny step forwards, and they often deflate, revealing nothing but empty air. Action beats fear every single time. But here's the rub, action needs emotion. Action needs motion, and motion feels like death to a terrified nervous system. So we paralyse ourselves with worst case movies playing on an endless loop, while the best case reels, the ones where we thrive and shine, never get filmed. We stay stuck, convinced we're being smart, and we're actually just slowly shrinking. So ask yourself, what would I try if I could not feel fear for 24 hours? If courage was simply a given, what would you do? Write the answer on a sticky note, place it where you brush your teeth, somewhere you'll see it every single day, and then take the tiniest possible action toward it today. Send the email, make the phone call, research the thing. The spell breaks when you move, not when you wait to feel brave. Bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. If this video is something that's resonated with you, make sure you hit like and subscribe. It tells the YouTube algorithm that people want to see this content and push out to more people who need to hear that. Plus, it means you won't miss out in the next video when it drops. Ariel's real wish is to explore, collect, understand the human world's curiosities. The prince, while charming, becomes a detour from that pure, intrinsic curiosity. When you trade your genuine desire for a shinier, more socially approved goal, you betray the very part of you that makes life electric and vibrant. Authenticity betrayal is particularly sneaky because the new goal, the one you swapped your true desire for, usually looks nobler, more sensible, more impressive on paper than your original, quirky, seemingly impractical one. You wanted to paint tiny watercolours of abandoned shopping carts, finding beauty in the mundane. Society, or your parents, or your own internalised critics hand you a corporate ladder to climb. You abandon the shopping carts, you climb the ladder, you get the paycheck, you win the praise, and yet you feel like an imposter wearing someone else's victory parade. The accolades feel hollow, success feels borrowed, and a nagging sense of, is this all there is, starts to creep in. Or maybe you dreamed of writing poetry, but pursued a law degree because it was responsible. You wanted to travel the world on a shoestring, but settled for a stable job with 2 weeks vacation a year. These aren't inherently bad choices, but they became betrayals when they completely overshadow, or worse, extinguish the small, weird, wonderful thing that truly lit you up. That thing that made your soul hum without needing external validation or financial reward. And the way back is embarrassingly simple, almost ridiculously so. It's not about torching your life and starting over. It's about reattaching to the small, weird thing that lit you up before. It had to pay rent, before it had to be productive or marketable. Schedule 2 hours this week, just 2, to do it with zero monetization plan. No Instagram proof, no need for anyone else's approval, just the activity in you. Maybe it's sketching, playing an instrument, writing bad poetry, tinkering with an old engine, or exploring a new trail. That reunion, that reconnecting with pure, unadulterated passion, is the equivalent of Ariel touching the surface for the very first time. Salty air, endless possibility, and profound realization that every prior sacrifice, every detour was optional. You didn't have to give up that spark. Handing your power to Ursula looks obvious in the cartoon, doesn't it? She looks like a giant purple sea witch. In real life, Ursula is far more subtle. She's the coach you beg to validate you. The algorithm you let grade your worth. The parent whose critical voice now lives in your head rent-free. Reclaiming your power means evicting every tenant that isn't you, every external voice that has taken up residence in your internal decision-making process. Power betrayal shows up in 1,000 micro-habits that chip away at your autonomy. Is it over-explaining your decisions, the incessant over-apologising for simply existing, the endless over-searching for the perfect caption, the perfect filter, the perfect angle before you dare post anything online? It's a constant need for external affirmation, for someone else to tell you that you're good enough, smart enough, talented enough. Each micro-habit is a coin sliding across the sea witch's palm. Each time you defer your judgment, second-guess your intuition, or seek permission for your own life, you're feeding her. Before you know it, she's huge, bloated, with your stolen confidence, and you're shrinking, feeling smaller and less capable. You've given away so many pieces of yourself, you barely recognise the person looking back at you from the mirror. So let's flip the script with one powerful, resonant question. Who owns the final say here? When it comes to your choices, your feelings, your direction, your boundaries, who gets the last word? If the answer is anyone but you, your boss, your partner, your social media audience, your parents, your inner critic fueled by past voices, then you are actively funding the witch. You're empowering the very forces that dismiss you. Start small, but start now. Send an email without just a softening, just in sorry. Say no to requests that doesn't align with your energy. Post that photo without agonise over every pixel. Watch how the world keeps spinning. The coral doesn't collapse and your voice grows an inch taller. Your posture even a little straighter. Every single time you refuse to bargain it away, you find that the world respects those who respect themselves. Ariel bets her entire existence, a little soul, on a guy she met for 2 minutes. It's a huge gamble. We do something similar, don't we? We gamble decades of our lives on the degrees we hate, mortgages we can't truly afford, partnerships that look good in photos but feel empty in person. Building a future on borrowed desires, on shoulds instead of wants, guarantees you'll eventually drown in your own timeline. Future betrayal is the quietest, most insidious of them all, precisely because everyone around you is often applauding as you walk off the plank. The diploma arrives framed, the ring flashes, the gender reveal pops with confetti, the promotion comes with a fancy new title, and inside you feel like a shell echoing a hollow. You've achieved all the things you were supposed to achieve, but the victory tastes like ash. This isn't your dream, it's a carefully constructed dream of someone else, or an idealised version of yourself that you mistakenly adopted. You're living a life that looks impressive from the outside, but internally, it's a constant struggle. You're stuck in a narrative that isn't yours, surrounded by props that don't belong to your story. And the fix isn't necessarily torching the entire life you built overnight. That's often impractical and terrifying and not required. Instead, it's about auditing one brick at a time with ruthless honesty. So grab a piece of paper and draw 3 columns. Keep, modify, burn. Now go through your life segment by segment, your job, relationships, your living situation, your daily habits, your big goals. But each one honestly ask, does this truly serve my authentic self, my real voice, my deepest desires? And then keep what parts of your life genuinely align with who you are and where you want to go, and double down on these. Modify what elements are almost right but need adjustment. How can you tweak them to better fit you? Maybe it's not leaving the job but changing your role, or setting firmer boundaries. Maybe it's not ending a relationship but having a difficult, honest conversation. Then burn anything in the third column that can be deleted without jail time, without truly catastrophic consequences, and get deleted this month. This isn't about being reckless, it's about being brave. Cancel a subscription that you never use, end the obligation that drains you, say no to the social event that you dreaded. One brick removed from a false future equals £1,000 of buoyancy restored. Your real life, tail intact, voice strong, heart full, waits on the other side of those deletions, and it's time to swim toward it. 7 betrayals, one powerful, painful, recurring pattern. Self-betrayal always feels like safety before it shows up as shackles. It whispers promises of acceptance and ease, only to deliver a life that feels stifling and inauthentic. But the good news is you have the power to break free. There's a 3-step life raft of cures tonight, right now, to start reclaiming your truth. Spot the betrayal. Scan your last 24 hours for a moment, however small, when you muted your truth. When you held back your opinion, agreed to something you didn't want, or hid a part of yourself. Be a detective in your own life. 2. Name the cost. Write down clearly and without judgment what that lie, that silence, that facade is costing you. Is it energy, money, peace of mind, your self-respect, your authentic connections? Be brutally honest with yourself about the price that you've been paying. 3. Take one act of truth. This is the most crucial step. Send the text that you've been drafting, set the boundary you've been avoiding, cancel subscription you don't use, speak the sentence you've been swallowing. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture, it just has to be true. This is your declaration of independence. Rinse, repeat, restore your voice, one brave act at a time. If you want backup while you do this, then that's why I created the Clan Training Grounds. It's a free Facebook group where we do monthly masterclasses in hot seating, where we start to delete the shoulds and coach each other back to our real voices or true selves. Just check the link in the description and go and join.